Hi everybody, welcome back to Baton Rouge's Live Music's LiveWire. We're going to do a continuation tonight of our Del Moon interview. You'll find this fascinating as well, certainly for those of you who grew up in this area and are familiar with the LSU Assembly Center, also known as Pete's Palace, something that was really built up because of the legendary Pete Maravich here. It's also the major entertainment complex here in town. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Del was associated with Mr. Bill Bankhead, who has now written a book about it, and many of the great people have come through there. As you can see, there's an awful lot going on here with all this, because Del is someone who I have to say, he even talks more than me. So this is why we broke it into three, so come on and enjoy part 2. Interview with Del Moon. Thank you very much. Now, something else you're doing that I think is worth mentioning, the senior games. Mm-hmm. And let's talk about the hurricane.
Well, I was in town because I handle the national media, and we have our games every 2 years. Julia is from Baton Rouge, and she came to the games at the age of 100, said, I'm going to go ahead and do 100 meters, and no woman's ever done that. So she came and she did it, and the phone rang off the hook, and they wanted video everywhere, and we just went crazy. And she was world famous. When I reported about it that night, I said, I need a hook, Hurricane Hawkins. She's from Baton Rouge. I called and asked their family, and they all cheered. So that stuck. So she's Hurricane Hawkins now, but from some sick birth out of my mind. In 2019, she comes back. She doesn't even beat her record, but we're ready. We got all the great video and all that. She goes around the world again because she's a beautiful person and she shares a beautiful message. And I've gotten to know her and the family. Well, this year, she lost her record for 100 plus to a woman from Michigan. And her thought was, I'm looking forward anyway. She's 105 now. When you have records in masters, it's by 5 years. When you get to the top, it's just plus. When you get there, you establish the next category. She, this past Saturday, just ran the 100 meters and became the first woman and the first American to ever establish a 105 plus record. This is international news. I had to be here. My boss said yes too. The Louisiana Senior Games people said, we don't want to deal with it. The Hawkins family said, you've come to know her really well, you can be her publicist. So I was basically over here shepherding, not so much as working all the media and saying, everybody get out, because it's going to happen. And I gave the local media about a week. Said, if you don't believe me, that's fine. You know her, so I don't need to tell you anything. If I was in Chicago, I might need to educate you. But you know her. She's from your area. She's the grande dame of Baton Rouge. Jim Angster and Channel 9 jumped on it, and some other people are working on some things. But that's fine because, the people who wanted it would get it, and then the national media would come over. She talked to Washington Post this morning. CBS was on site. I got Southern Living chewing on me already, and I've got another inquiry from somebody with the Times. So it's already happening. So I had to be here to do that, and I just had a hell of a great time. I had my high school reunion the week before, so I'm not going to drive back to Florida. I live in Tampa Bay, and drive all the way back up. So I just came over and wanted to see some friends and do some cool things, and also work the media and be there to facilitate with Julia. So I was able to be there when CBS was there last Friday. We have a media partner, Growing Bolder. They have over 1 million people following them on Facebook, and they've got a Twitch channel and all kinds of things. They're doing a great job of communicating to 50 plus people what aging is really about. And don't believe the prescription commercials. Don't believe what you see in TVs and movies. Don't believe all the old homilies. You're not going to drop dead and die. You can live successfully. A, it starts in your head. B, you need to understand how you're constructed. C, you need to have something to look forward to always. D, never stop, never stop. Keep moving. It's not necessarily sports. This is my message. You don't have to do sports, but you get all the social. We call it fun, fitness, fun, and fellowship. But as long as you go walk at the mall 5 times a week or get that 150 minutes a week, that movement is really important. And so that's what I do. That's really what my job is, communicating that message. I just cloth it in great athlete stories. And so she's the greatest athlete for me. I've gotten to know her so well. So that's what I was in town for, and she did it, and I'm very happy about it, and it's gotten me to be here and to share some things with you. And
Well, that's always great too. Like I say, the greatest. But we also are going to be talking about a new book that's come out called "The Greatest Show on Earth." You might want to grab that right over
Flashback,
there.
and what I call
Yes.
through my time.
The lens of time.
No, my file cabinet time machine. But this is new. The person who opened up the Assembly Center was a guy named Bill Bankhead, Dr. William Bankhead, PhD. He was a cheerleader on the LSU Tiger National Championship 1958 team. He was, after he got his bachelor's, he came back and worked in the intramurals department. He got gymnastics shifted over into the athletic department. Dee Bro calls him the father of LSU gymnastics. So that's an understanding of his sports side. They brought him in partially because of that, because he had an administrative side in sports business and facilities. They were building the Pete's Palace. So they hired him to make sure this was built, it was completed properly, and to run the facility. So he ran it for 12 years. Here I come along 3 years later, right into the middle of the teeth of when everything was cranking full speed. I got to hang out in his office. I wanted to suck every bit of wisdom out of him I could. Just listening in as he's talking on, hearing one side of phone conversations and stuff, and learning. And he's one of my mentors. So we've kept in contact. He has a connection to senior games. He brought 2 of the senior games to national senior games to Baton Rouge, 93 and 2001. And then he became our CEO for 4 years. He did major events. He worked for Eunice Shriver with Special Olympics in Washington. So that's how high Bill got in his life. So, and we can go back to the National Sports Festival.
Oh, we'll get to the sports festival.
So at any rate, Bill tells me he's writing a book about his Assembly Center. There's too many things. He's got all these autographs. And you know the music stuff. I know all the Lawrence Welk and all the Dale Brown and all the people I know. And I want to talk about the facility. I want to thank all these great people. It was a special facility from the technical standpoint. All the acts love to work. All the road crews love to work with us. So he said, I'm going to write this book, The Greatest Shows on Earth. And it's got passes on the back and tickets and the I'm sorry, you're drooling. I'm sorry. This is a proof copy. They only made a few. And the only reason I got one is I said, Bill, how can I help you? And I gave him all kinds of ticket stubs and posters and all kinds of things and photos. And I offered, there were 2 or 3 things I wanted to write in it if he wanted me to write some of the capsules about the artists. And he said, fine, you can write them better than I can. So I did Billy Joel because he was so seminal to me, you know. And then I did oh gosh.
You can probably flip through the book and find it.
Well, yeah. And then, I did Elton John, because that was one of the first big shows that I was the chairman of, and I was like Elton John. I was out there just, got my ushers in place. I got to shake his hand. He's got pinballs in the room. I get to see things. So I wrote the appreciation because I just liked that, and it was something for me. I didn't get to write George Harrison. His niece wrote it, and she's loved the Beatles since the beginning of time, and I was not going to prevent her from being able to write her tribute. So I write about that in other places, but there's the Billy Joel. But there's so many great pictures. I should be turning it this way. How absolutely just crazy. Look at the signatures, just the people. Let me find something identifiable here. Oh, and I wrote one more. I said, Bill, this book is not going to be complete unless we do one about the greatest show that never was. And I tied it into the title. He says, oh, yeah, what? He says, the Leonard Skinner Show. They went down in Mississippi?
It was in Mississippi.
Yeah, they went down in Mississippi, and they had to cancel the show, obviously. And I had 2 tickets, comp tickets, and there's the thing. And when the band came back as Leonard Skinner, their first show was going to be Baton Rouge. And they announced that anybody who had 2 tickets to the original show could get in free. I'm in line. I go there. It was amazing, the welcome that they got back. It was one of the best concerts I've seen. Not for who was the loudest. Not for how many meters they pegged. It was the frickin' love. It was just the whole roundness of the, you can hear the woo, they didn't want to woo. They were, ah! So I gave these and to illustrate it, and that, I think those are nice little touches. There's little touches he put in there too. Here, there. Okay, what do we got here? I'm a ne'er-do-well. I'm a ne'er-do-well.
He'll be appearing for the rest of the week anyway.
I'll be here and I'm all week.
That's right.
Lots of pictures. Olivia Newton-John. Lots of autographs. Well, then he goes into his sports history, the building with a purpose. And he talks about Daddy Dale, and he talks about all the people that worked with him, and all the things they did, and the graduations, and the inaugurations, and all of those things. And and then he tells his personal history, which is quite amazing too. He's an amazing man. So because he had the senior games connection, he came out to watch Julia. And when I first asked Julia about him, I said, "Do you know Bill Bankhead? He said he lived right there off of Sunset near you." "Oh, I've known little Billy since he was this tall." And I'm like, so anyway, that kind of brings us around in a circle a little bit, and. The Hall of Fame was picked up by Mike Shepard. I cannot express my gratitude to him enough, because when I had to give it up, and ultimately I lost a house over it through 2 or 3 other circumstances, I had a promise of land, and I couldn't get the commitments that I'd gotten to get things going, to get the money in before the time came, and I just ran out of time. I got to think about my family, so I went into PR and work in other events with the city, and ultimately ended up leaving for a bit, and came back to do the Hot Air Balloon Championships from 89 to 92. I was the development director, and then I worked for an agency for about 3 years, and then I got the call to go to Atlanta. I worked the Olympics, the Paralympics, and that put me on another scale of doing things. I did a couple of torch relays. It's been an amazing run. It really has, and I've just kind of let myself go with the flow, and you take the gig that's at hand. You're not too proud to do anything. I've done catering work, I've built stages, I've hauled garbage. It doesn't matter. I just want to stay close to the action.
Well, I think you made a mention earlier of a comment your father told you one time.
Yeah, he said there are too many too many specialists in the world. Be a generalist, and you'll always know how to do something. You'll never be in want of something to do. You'll always find a job. And it's really true. But I wanted to continue here with this and say that the 50th anniversary of the Assembly Center is coming up next year. I don't know when. There'll be some kind of a gathering. Bill's going to make this book real. And there'll be autograph signings, and I'm sure some of the icons that are friends of his will be there to help him on. I can't imagine this not being a centerpiece of some of the commemoration and all of that. So if you went to a concert, we ought to gauge and see if people are interested in having. You got the official party, but maybe we can do it all in one place. Maybe we can do it in the Assembly Center. Have a party in there, play some of the iconic music, like Elvis, da 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 da. Yeah, everybody's gonna dance. Maybe this is right off the top of my head. Copyright 2021 Del Moon. Maybe there could be a gathering like that, and the people that remember it. Everybody I've told about this that knows this freaks out.
Well, as big as the Assembly Center is, I think it might not even hold all the people that would want to come to a thing like that, because it is pretty major.
Maybe we could have people come and buy the book. It's not going to be cheap, but maybe to urge the other people, maybe we could raise money for some music or some LSU charity. Well, maybe if we get the LSU Foundation or the Alumni Association, maybe they would take on a sponsorship type of thing of that.
Perhaps.
And
well,
of course, it's there on
to
campus.
do that too now, Dale.
Excuse me, I have a phone call to make.
Ha!
But,
that's right. Always on the phone.
You have to get the return call, though. I haven't seen a lot of those lately.
Well, you never know. A good cause like this could be there. But, you're talking about Bill Bankhead and some of the things he was involved with, like the Special Olympics.
Right.
For example, I worked all those things, too, through the years.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Soundman.
That's where I met...
I love this man. He has always treated people fairly. He's always done the job on time. And he's got a rockin' mustache.